Yeah, because I just hit record, so that's the shot we're
Oh,
getting.
here we go.
baby.
Yeah, I always like to start off with something interesting.
Me too.
So here we are. This is our sort of give the idea of a wide shot where we're at, and then
Yeah,
we can zoom
feels like we're droning in.
exactly with
So
my
exciting.
selfie stick.
You know, one of the things I always tell people when we make live videos is people have this really weird habit of waiting to start their live video, and I always say, no, you've got to go like right at the beginning, because if you don't, you're going to make it seem like you're just waiting around for people, and that's not how shows start. You don't start a TV show on the hour and wait for the people. So look, we're here live. I have Steve Garfield and Carol Garfield right here. Hi, Steve. Hi, Carol.
Hi, this is Steve Garfield from stevegarfield.com.
Good morning, it's Carol.
And here we are in the Arnold Arboretum in Boston, and it's a beautiful place for us to get away for a few moments in these crazy times.
And it's the beginning of week 11 today. We do this every week. We
do a video from here every week. It's the How We Live Now. Our good friend Amy Carpenter suggested we do videos documenting how we're feeling, and that was 11 weeks ago that we started, and we've done them, and it is amazing how over the weeks how the videos have changed and what's changed.
I've watched not all of them, but I've watched a lot of them, and I wonder, how do you see it kind of in retrospect? I mean, I have a slightly more poignant question after that, but how do you see them just in general in retrospect right now?
Oh, in the beginning, the videos were very, optimistic, and here we are. And like, I do remember putting on Facebook on the first day, I said, you know what? I think I can do 14 days of quarantine. I can do 2 weeks. We can stay in and not really go anywhere for 2 weeks. And we were like, okay, here we are in the Arboretum. And as time went on, the more recent ones are like,
then we would say, well, we'll do a month's fine. We can last a month. And then like 6 weeks. Okay.
And then we're like, wow, what are we going to talk about today? Because this week was just like last week.
And then you're stuck because there's a lot of
doing a video every week.
Yeah. And to keep it interesting visually, because, you're pretty much the founder of video blogging in my mind. I know there's other people who could have that title, but you really, especially being a Boston guy, brought that to the world. You wrote a very important book on that called Get Seen, and just more so have just been everywhere forever, showing people the same sentence over and over again for years. It's just video on a blog.
Use the phone you have on you.
Right.
There's another one. And the other one, which I know you've adopted, is put your laptop on a stack of books. Get your camera up to eye level, please, and use a microphone and get good lighting. It's the same thing I've been saying for 15 years. And the most crazy thing is, as the network shows found themselves at home, all of a sudden, none of them knew what they were doing. And because they weren't required to do it for themselves, and they were just sticking their phone somewhere, and they weren't doing anything right. And so then once again, my idea, like Adam Grant, is I always think give first, then get. If I even think of get, I never really think of that. I just give my knowledge. And so I'm sending tips to Jimmy Fallon, and they have a microphone, and I don't know if I might have been part of that, I don't know, but I was sending them messages saying, get a microphone, put the camera up higher, what are you guys doing? And they're all getting a lot better. But
as the weeks went on, you could see they were improving their equipment. They were getting equipment delivered, I think, to their house.
Yeah, ring lights.
Some shows we'd watch, and they're like, they still haven't changed anything.
Yeah,
true. One thing I was going to say about this all, and it's funny, Kenny's here. Kenny is the guy who's recorded pretty much everybody's audiobook, if they're anywhere in the Northeast coast. And I wanted to say hi to Kenny because, we were saying so many nice things to you in a little private group the other day. But Steve, you, from the very early days of video blogging, I'm thinking like 2006 or so, for instance, I went over to your house the one time and I couldn't believe I was on the set of the Carol and Steve show. I was so blown away. Like I'm in the kitchen where you guys film it, but that was the way it was being done by a lot of our friends back then. Do you want to just kind of talk about some of the shows that were going on there that to you seem like they're still right now? Like all those cool people. Talk a little bit about the old days and what those new guys like Jimmy James could have learned from all your friends.
You know what? So in the beginning of the video blogging days, it was January 1st, 2004. I always like to do a New Year's resolution. And I had been working with video for a long time at home with a big Panasonic camera and the thing over my shoulder. And I was the person in the family doing videos. And then I also had computer jobs where I was programming. And then I started blogging. I started blogging in 97 when there weren't blogs to help you do it. I was hard coding, every day's post. I worked in a radio station. And when guests came in, I would go into the HTML code and I would say, this guest was here today and this is their book, and I would put a link to it. And then the next day they would come in, another guest would come in, I would take the code, copy it, paste it on top of the previous page, change the date and say, now we had this guest and they came in and they talked about this book. And then this was 97, 98, 99. Then in 2000, Blogger came out, which took away all the coding and you could just put your words up on the internet and it was really easy. So then get up to January 1st, 2004, I was like, why hasn't anybody made it easy to put video on the web like blogging did in Blogger? So I said, I'm going to combine video with a blog. And I made a typepad blog and I made a post and I said, 2004 is the year of the video blog. And I put that up. And then I started posting things that I learned for free. Like we said earlier, how to record a video, how to, put it up on a web page. And then as I put that information out there, I met other people around the world who were also trying to learn the same thing. And we started this Yahoo video blogging group. And in there is where we all were learning how to do this, sharing what we were doing. And we were all posting our videos and we were all watching everybody else's videos. And so as we watched everybody else's videos, what we didn't realize at that time is we were getting to know everybody. Like, we got to see everybody's lives. And this was really unique back then in 2004. And then in 2005, a few of us decided to get together. We all met in New York City. We called it Vlogger Con. And when we first met each other, we would walk up to each other and was like, wow, I feel like I know you. And that was the power. That's when I really found out that was the power of video on the web and getting to know the other person. So then a lot of shows happened. One you like to mention is I was the Boston correspondent for Rocket Boom, which was the first video blog daily news show. And Amanda Congdon was the host and Andrew Barron created it. And the way I got involved in Rocket Boom was I was watching Amanda do her show and I emailed her suggestions. Maybe you should put the camera this way. Try doing this. Hey, that thing you do where you throw the paper away, that's really funny. Maybe you should do that every time. And then we started talking back and forth. And then they said, hey, would you be a correspondent from Boston? And then I was a correspondent from Boston. Andy Carvin was, I think he was, I don't know where he was at that point, but Zadi, Diaz, and so people from around the country were correspondents. And I love TV and news and the behind the scenes. And this was unbelievable that I got to be, a news reporter for Rocket Boom. So that's how I was learning by doing the insides of how to make videos, how to edit videos, how to share videos. And we all learned. And now you bring that back to today, all the hosts sitting in their houses, they all had to figure that all out themselves once again.
Well, what was interesting, though, during the pandemic was you connected back with a lot of those old people. And you actually did 2 Zooms with them, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
the Facebook group started.
Yeah, on Facebook, someone mentioned, hey, maybe we should do a Zoom together. And so I made a Facebook group for the old Yahoo video blogging groups, and we had a Zoom. And people from 15 years ago came on, and it's like old friends, and we're finding out what everyone's doing and where they all are, and they're all just doing, their lives have gone in many different ways. One real cool story is one kid came on, and he was in high school, and he says, I didn't really talk much in those days because I felt like I was too young, but we knew who he was and saw his videos. He's in Hollywood now editing video for his career. So
oh my gosh,
when he was in high school, he got in there, and it's really impressive. He learned, went in, learned all the stuff, and now he's in Hollywood. And it's funny because, before the quarantine, we would babysit my niece's kids, and I would do videos with them, and they all want to be YouTube stars.
Right.
And so, Uncle Steve, we want to make a video, and I'm like, well, I'll show you how to do it right. And they're like, well, we want to do this. And Carol says, you should listen to Uncle Steve. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then we brought up YouTube on their TV set, and we showed them some of our old videos.
Right.
Because they see YouTube people as stars.
Right.
And then we showed them the Carol and Steve show and some of my old YouTube videos, and they were like, whoa, Uncle Steve. Like, they were impressed. So we haven't seen them for a while. And then his mom had a project where one of their neighbors is moving away, and they asked me if I could edit together all the goodbye videos from the neighbors.
Oh, nice.
If the mom would collect them all on Messenger. Hey, Uncle Steve, will you edit them all together? And I thought, well, my great nephew should do it. So I made a little video and sent it to him, and I said, this is how you do an assemble edit, you call it, where you take all the videos and you edit them together.
On iMovie.
On iMovie on the iPhone. And then I showed him how to do that, and we just had a chat with him
Saturday.
The other day. They did the video, and he did it himself, and he's 10.
All worked out.
At the age of 10. That's such a big change. That is such a, everything you said. I mean, I haven't commented because there was so much to fill in there, but so much has changed. And it's back to where it was again in so many ways. One thing I find interesting about it was that there's just everything old is new again. Everything is back or whatever. I remember back in the really old days, like when YouTube came on the scene at 2005 or so, people like me kind of maligned the type of video that were YouTuber videos, because my people, who I stole all of them from you because I would watch your show, all my people were show making people. So I loved Jet Set Show. I loved Rocket Boom. There were so many good shows.
Jet Set Show.
The car show, with Ravi. There's so many good shows.
Drive Time with Ravi.
Drive
Jane.
Time.
He had a
and Ravi Jane had his show.
He had a talk show in his car. He was so busy he didn't have time to do a video, and he really wanted to do one. So he put a camera in his car, and the people he wanted to interview would meet him at his house, and they would make the commute to work with him. And he had the camera on his dashboard, and that was the show, his commute to work.
It really, it was just the way of it. And the difference was at Scriggity, the kids in Pennsylvania, there were just so many shows being made. And there was this belief that these shows would sort of take over in some way or go big. Justine, all these people, who was probably one of the only one of us who crossed over as much as she did. And I think that it's interesting now that it kind of flipped the other way. Being a YouTuber is like a very known thing. Making your own independent show the way it was being made, a little less so. And it's interesting that, all of this, keeps cycling around because everyone can do it now, because everyone has at least the opportunity for an audience. Carrie had pointed out every kid wants to be a YouTube star, but then who's going to actually be the one watching the YouTube? We still all watch each other. What do you think now of this environment? What's the video story now?
The platform defines it in a way where, back when we started, you had to learn how to record on the camera. We had to have it on tape. We had to, wait for the tape to get ingested into the computer and then learn Final Cut Pro and all these things. There was a lot of barriers to entry back then. But now, I recently went on TikTok to find out what all the kids are doing. And there's no barrier to entry over there. And it's, these kids are talented, or they're entertaining, and they're in the process of using that tool and the tools they have with them. They're editing things together and they're learning with the tools. So I think that the TikTok kids, actually, I think some of them are now being signed to agents, and they're getting big contracts, and they live in these houses where they're all TikTok kids, and they get, I don't know how much money. I don't know how much money they're making.
But I noticed during this pandemic that I think that TikTok actually brought families together, where you saw them all doing the videos as the parents and the kids, and bonding like that. I felt like I saw a bunch of that this last few
I think it's very accessible for kids, and the kids are teaching the parents, and there's no barrier to entry, and they they make some friends on there and follow each other, and it's just like we did. That's like the same kind of thing we had. I know they have VidCon, which is the conference where all the kids go see their friend stars. When I went on TikTok to find out what it was all about, I went on there and found out I'd been on there in like I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Whenever it started, I put my name on. You know how you grab my name on the early system, and there were like 2 videos that we had done. So
oh my gosh,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, I was gonna out Carol Alaloof, but she just outed herself, because I saw her do some TikToks with her kids, and there's a lot of dancing going on. There is one thing for sure: I have absolutely no dance skills whatsoever. There are many things I am not skilled at, but of them, dancing might be one of the biggest. So I don't feel like I have a spot there just yet. But it's definitely, speaking of everything old is new again. Seismic. Way before this, there were just so many variants of the same theme over and over again. It's interesting what wins and what doesn't, why it wins and why it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're not in my top 8 on MySpace anymore, just so you know.
That's okay. Seismic, actually, I invested in that because I thought it was really fantastic. And what it did was it allowed us to have video conversations where one person would make a video and then the next person would comment in video. And I think it was too early and the technology wasn't ready. And today it might have done better. Might
have thrived. Well, that's our mutual acquaintance, Jeff Pulver, most definitely has done that many times, been like 2 or 3 years or sometimes 8 years ahead of the curve like that. It's definitely a thing that happens, in the investing world for sure.
Well, you know what? There's a new one that I just read about called Clubhouse. Have you heard of that one?
No. Is it that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's you drop in and you have audio conversations. So it's on your iPhone and you drop in and you join a room and people are talking.
And all you do is see their profile picture.
Yeah, you see their profile picture, and then you can click your button to join in and talk. And I just got it and I'm exploring it, and it's a whole different interface and way to be. I think one thing I find really interesting with that is you can sit there and listen to everybody else talking, and unlike Zoom, where if everyone has video on, you all are required to pay attention, and you're all being seen all the time. With this one, you can kind of sit back and have it be like a radio program, and if you don't want to participate, you don't have to. But if you want to participate, you can click a button and you can start talking. So I've yet to decide how I feel about it.
Sure,
it seems cool.
In the same vein, by the way, there's another one that Carol points out called Marco Polo. A friend of mine, her son likes to send me Marco Polos, but I have been kind of back and forth about the app. I don't know. The app itself feels like it's from 2007. I think you could really do with an update, but
the kids in our family are all on Facebook Messenger Kids. I don't know if you've had any kids want to be your friend on Facebook.
The few times that's happened, I have not gone for it, but I think that, I guess it's a way to do it with the little Facebook Kids thing. I'm not so sure. Listen, I have a question, and this kind of relates to the rough stuff going on right now in the world. There's a Black Lives Matter uprising of sorts, of massive protest. Uprising is the wrong word. There's a massive protest going everywhere right now. And it's because yet another person of color was murdered by the police. And this is a tricky scenario. But what we're seeing different, and it was Will Smith said this in 2016, and I think it's really true. It's not that there's more racism today than there used to be. It's that there's more video today than there used to be. So the opportunity to be reporters, not necessarily journalists, which to me is a degreed term, but the opportunity to be witness and a reporter is built into that. I was curious to know your thoughts on that and what it's like to, be in a time where that's another way that we can use our video. I
was that reporter back in the day when not everyone had video and felt the responsibility to drive up to New Hampshire and give my perspective on the primary and get some newsworthy things. And I felt a responsibility to do it and get the story right. And watching the live footage from Boston last night, which was really upsetting.
After a wonderful day that occurred for many hours.
Yeah, there was a great parade, and they marched from Nubian Square down to the State House, and everyone was respectful. And I actually said to Carol while we were watching that live stream, I'm like, that's Boston showing the world how to do it, and everyone's really great. And then right now it's too early to know why the looting and violence happened last night. Maybe outside people came in, but we saw some of that, and that was troubling. And I saw
very sad.
A lot of people had cell phones, and a lot of people were doing their own recording of it. So now, this morning, I'm on Facebook and with my friends, and we're talking about it, and people are talking about the violence and what their feelings are on it. And then in one of my friends' threads, someone posts a video and says, the cops trashed their own police car to make it look like the Black Lives Matter people did it. And he posted a video, and he's on the video saying, look at that. And what you see are cops standing on top of the police car and smashing the front window with a huge pipe.
Right.
And so then I was like, wow, that's doesn't seem right. So then I clicked through to the original YouTube video, and I read the description, and the description says from the guy who shot it, I'm terribly sorry that I said what I said in the video, because he was narrating it, and he was saying, look at the cops, they're wrecking their own car. He said, someone told me that when I was there, but what was actually happening was the rioters wrecked the car, and then the cops came and they were trying to break the window so they could see while driving.
Oh,
yet
wow.
His videos told the wrong story. And then in the first comment of his YouTube video was a link to another video, and it said, hey, go watch this video. This is what really happened. And you go click that and you find it. And there were these kids jumping on it, wrecking it, destroying it. So the kids destroyed it. Then the cops came to take the window away so they could drive it away. But the story was not told correctly. And there's this XYCD comic that says, honey, I can't come to bed right now. There's something wrong on the internet and I got to fix it. Well, that's my life. Yeah. That's how I feel all the time. So when I saw that, then I had to go back into the thread and I said, hey guys, fact check. The guy who shot this apologized, and here's what he said. And then here's a link to what really happened. So you have right now, every person has to be like that to go fact check these things that they're reading before they believe things that could be presented incorrectly. And that's why it's even more difficult right now, because everyone has a video camera and are showing you
just
this thing that could be wrong. So I think it's wearing on me. It's very difficult, and I don't want to police the whole internet but it's I find it very troubling because people get the wrong idea and then they go with it.
There's a lot of facets to being Steve Garfield, and oh my gosh, heaven has a place for Carol Garfield. That's for damn sure. There are a lot of facets to being you, and there's all the fun ones. There's all the, things that we say about you when you're not around, which are all the good ones. You also have, since as long as I've known you, tried very hard to be fair. Like at every turn, you will say something, even if it's unpalatable, even if everyone's just kind of like just going with the flow, you'll say, look, but that's not right. Or, but this needs to be said or something like that. And it's what you just said. I mean, the fact that we all kind of need newer, better media training. We need newer, better, tools to kind of go out and start looking
Right.
at things. I shared something this morning that turns out not to be from recent times. It didn't matter to my point that, what I shared still kind of applied. It was a black guy gets arrested by 2 cops only to find out he's some kind of a higher level, they say they mislabel him as an FBI agent. I forget what he turns out to be, but he's got a badge. Basically, he's an official kind of guy, and the whole video tells the story pretty easily. But I shared it thinking it was from this protest. My point was the same no matter what. My point just said, boy, this is kind of a thing. But I thought at that moment, do I go back and say this isn't from now, or add the little text? If I were Steve Garfield, I would, but I'm not you. So I just kind of left it because it's that way. But I think it's kind of an interesting part of this all is that not only can everybody make video, and not only can video be fun, but we have a responsibility as we consume it, and most especially as we share it, to make sure we know what we're sharing. That's seemingly what I'm hearing from them.
You know what? And as we create it too, because my niece's kids, when we were back babysitting them, they would want to watch YouTube videos, and I would watch the YouTube videos with them. And there are these families, they do videos every day, and we're watching the video, and the kids are like, look, there's an alligator in their backyard. And now, they're going to wrestle it and everything. I'm like, guys, that's not, there's no alligators in New Jersey. Like, that isn't how that happened. I mean, look at the guys who came in, look at their shirts. It says Jungle Land, Florida or something. So, I mean, they make so much money. They brought alligators.
Sponsor came.
Yeah, they brought alligators up from Florida to New Jersey, and they put them in their yard. And the kids in the video made believe they found an alligator in their yard. So I'm trying to explain to the kids that it's not real, and they're like, "No, Uncle Steve, it's real. Look, it's real." And so then I decided to show them how to make videos with me, and so we made videos together. And their father's a cop, so they want to make cop shows. They love cop shows, so we made a cop show with the oldest, who's 10, and what we did was we drove my car away from the house, and we put him in the driver's seat, and then we rolled down the window, and I did a video, and he says, "Hi, we're gonna go get John today and go arrest him. Let's go." And then he got out of the car, I got in the car, he held the camera and videotaped as I drove away. And then when I got to the driveway, I got out of the car, he got in the car, and we had the window rolled down, and he says, "Okay, we're here, let's go get John." And then he jumped out of the car. And then in editing, I showed him how to put the 3 clips together to make it look like he drove, trying to teach them that everything they see in video might not be real. And so then we show his brother, there's 1 7 and 1 4, now 5. We're showing him the video, and they look up at me and they're like, "Did you let him drive the car?" So then I says, "No." I said, "Now let's have you be the star of the show." So the 8-year-old did it, and then the 4-year-old did it. And I said, "Let's make a video with you." And then the 8-year-old says, "I want to make the same video as the 10-year-old. And then we go to make a video with the 4-year-old. He says, "I want to do the same." So I ended up with the same video for each kid. But I think in the process, they sat with me on the couch as we edited, and I showed them, here, is how we put it together. So I think that they're generating an understanding of how videos are put together. And then the oldest one just edited that video together. Tell what happened with the father. Remember when he was going to do his video?
So you had mentioned earlier about starting the video, and when do you start the video? And that's an important aspect to having a good video. And our nephew's father was going to interview him saying goodbye. And then he said, "Mason, no, you're having me walking in there. That's not going to be good." And Mason says, "No, Dad, I'm going to edit it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to edit it, but you need to start early." Like, he got it.
Yeah. So I felt that was a huge win. Yeah. Where he now knows that, like, if I went like this, like right over here, and started the video and then went back, he now knows that part where you're starting and going back can be edited out later. I mean, that's a big, big win for me to have taught him, and he understands. And there he goes. This is very exciting to me.
Next generation.
Off and running. It's I mean, it's important, you know, we're all of the age where we all had to learn how to do good handwriting, and we had to learn really good cursive. And it, you know, now I think you have to learn how to be able to produce. Both my kids can make video. Both my kids actually do animation software, or one and a half of them do. I don't know. But I think it's interesting. Yeah, let's go. Let's go for a walk. One thing I like about this footage, by the way, to stop my point, this is the same. This is just down the street pretty much from where, you know, this supposed rioting happens. Gio Geller, who I met through Jeff Pulver, we were at the AP's headquarters in New York, the Associated Press headquarters, and we're going down this hallway full of some of the most famous AP photos in the world. And I'm sort of looking at them all with such reverence. And Gio just points to one of them and he says, a photo is the perfect capture of a moment that didn't happen. And it was very mind-blowing. And his point, which is a point you've made a lot, is in how we frame things, in how we capture things, in what we capture. We can tell whatever story we want, even if it's captured.
Oh, that's a good point. So this morning I shared a photo. So as a photographer, I love images. And I shared this one from last night where the gates of the Boston Public Gardens were set on fire.
Right.
And it was really, really sad because it's a beautiful garden right in the center of Boston. And the image was striking. And in front of the gate and the fire was a person. And you saw the silhouette of them, like with their hand up from behind.
Yes.
And what I did was I copied the caption and I copied the photo by the photographer's name. And then I gave a link to the original, because this is what I'm doing every day. When people share stuff from the newspaper, I'm like, you didn't give them credit. You didn't find the link. It's really easy. Take the time. So
right.
I did that. And now there's a discussion on that thread. Hey, don't call them protesters, you know, because they were saying, well, that guy's a rioter, or, you know, I don't know what he was. The Globe decided, it was a quote from the caption. I didn't make it up. The Globe decided to call him a protester. He could have been a protester protesting the violence of the fire. I mean, I don't know. So I commented, I said, contact the Globe, you know, complain to them. I'm just sharing what it is.
Right. That happens sometimes in the sharing too. So Jeff Pulver's here watching. That story I told about Gio and I in the AP hall, this is a perfect example of how people experience things differently. Jeff takes us there because we're going to go meet a friend who works at the AP, one of Jeff's many friends. And it's a great experience. And I'm full of reverence. I'm like, this is amazing. And Gio, who is nonplussed by the universe, he could have cared less where he was. You know, he was there on his own agenda, saw the whole experience differently than me. And I think it's important to kind of carry that into this conversation we're having, because look how beautiful it is out there. And then compare that to the way, you know, some of those photos were captured last night.
Yeah, you'll notice we put our masks on. So
yeah,
in Boston, there is a advisory to put your masks on when you're out in public within 6 feet of people, and it's a requirement to wear them in business. So here in the city, in the Arboretum, everyone's very, very good about it. So when we walk by, you know, people, everyone does it. So we feel good about it. We're protecting them. They feel good about protecting us. But when we have gone out to the suburbs to drop stuff off, it's a little different.
That's the same story in my little bitty town. It's the majority of people here don't seem to be all that interested in wearing their masks, and it kind of tweaks me out a little bit because I don't know. I'm under the impression that maybe this is a good idea for a while. And, you know, we've seen it for years at other places. In Hong Kong, it's been a little more than a decade that most everyone wears a mask there just for the safety. I never understood it until this, but I kind of get it now.
Yeah, me either. And I think it helps with my allergies.
Right. Although I'm on the fence on that one. Every now and again, I feel like I breathe it in and it sticks to me. But
your allergies look really bad. I hope you're figured out how to fix your eyes.
No, I don't know. My eyes have been this way for like since quarantine, and I haven't figured it out. I just feel like, maybe I'm going to be due to visit somebody and get some nice drops. Who knows? Carrie points out here in Tennessee, it's different. People seem offended that she wears a mask. I've seen that a little. I've seen that there's a sort of culture / class kind of experience between wearing masks, and that masks are somehow being seen as haughty or highfalutin in some way. Is that your experience as well?
Not in Boston. I don't find that at all. But I've read reports that, if you don't wear that mask, because that means if you are wearing a mask, it means you're not a Trump supporter. Like, take that mask off in the Trump supporting areas. They're mad if you wear a mask. It's they think it's political, which is crazy. I'm just showing you all the lilacs.
Oh my gosh. Now my eyes will totally get red. I love lilacs. Every time I take a big breath in, that's the last breath I'll be having that day, but it smells so lovely.
Here at the Arboretum, how big is it, Carol? I forget. 281.
345 acres.
340 acres. It's huge. And
wow.
They've collected plants and trees from all around the world. So this is the walk of lilacs, and there are lilacs from all around the world.
Yeah,
and
hundreds of varieties, I think.
Yeah, and on Mother's Day, it's always Lilac Sunday, and it's jam-packed with people looking at the lilacs, and they had to cancel it this year.
Right, of course. That brings up two things in a row. So would you say then, with all those acres, that's the place to be? Because would you say that maybe Arboretum living is the life for me? Would you, how sad is it, Steve, that no one's going to get that joke unless you're of a certain age?
Let that truck go by.
Yeah, that's quite the truck. Well, Steve, I had a real life question too.
No, but you know what? I want to answer that one.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to grab that one.
Go.
So we normally walk the Jamaica Pond,
which
is, we just are so lucky that we have these things near where we live, and
we are about 15 minutes from where those protests took place yesterday too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we walk the Jamaica Pond, but that's getting really, really crowded right now. So we don't feel comfortable walking there.
And it's a lot narrower.
And they have the Francis Parkman Boulevard, which is next to the pond, they've closed to traffic. So that's really wide. And we can go up and back that. It's a little hilly, but that's about a mile. So we do that, and then we come here too, where there's plenty of places and paths to go.
We try to do between 2 and 3.5 miles a day.
But we did the Murph challenge. You saw that, right?
I did see that you did that. Very impressive.
So that was
very impressive.
For Memorial Day, in memory of someone who died.
Navy SEAL.
Right, Navy SEAL. They have a Murph challenge, and it's a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and then a mile run. And Laura Gassner-Otting got us to do that one.
We did it.
And she was talking about it, and her son was like, "No way am I going to do that." Then he looked into it and decided to do it. So I said, "Well, I'll look into it." And then so the idea behind that is to get fit while you're, have nothing else to do. But that seems intimidating until you break it down into small pieces.
Just like everything is.
Right. So we started with five pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 squats, and you do as many as you can. And then over the month, we found we could do more and more and more and more. And then on the final day, which was Memorial Day, after 30 days of working up to it, we did the whole thing, and it was like not a problem. And I said to Carol, "How'd that happen?"
Yep.
And she said, "Well, we got better."
There you go. Yeah, the Murph Challenge celebrates Michael P. Murphy, who is a Navy SEAL who died in the Kunar province in Afghanistan. He's the one that they made that movie Lone Survivor about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's it's the story is basically narrated by one of the guys who is the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, who Maki Mock plays in the movie.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but Mike, it's a really worthwhile movie to watch. Obviously, it's kind of bloody because it doesn't go very well for Murph or any of the other guys, but definitely worth it, especially because you did the challenge. So just a little note of entertainment, so to speak, and it's actually a movie I've seen more than 20 times at this point.
Oh wow, we'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's rough, and the book was pretty interesting. The book was handed to me by Texas Governor Rick Perry back before he became sort of like weird guy Rick Perry. But when I met him, the last thing I want to ask you about is, of course, one of my favorite people on planet Earth so far, which is Millie Garfield, who is still going strong and creating lots of media. Do you want to talk a little bit about your mom's blog and some of her best videos?
Okay, guys, here we go. The URL is mymomsblog.blogspot.com. And I think the other one is ican'topenit.blogspot.com. And my mom is Millie Garfield, and she's 94 years old. And maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago. Let's see, how old was she? In her
81.
At about 80, when I was talking about blogging, she was like, what's blogging? What's blogging all about? So I made her a blog. And she was
You
like
sure
81,
did.
and she knew computers a little bit. She says, what am I going to do with a blog? And I says, well, you write what you know about. You write about TV, books, going out to eat, and just write. So she started writing, and she's a fantastic writer. And people started reading her and loving what she wrote. Yeah. And then, like that happens in, it's getting noisy here. She formed a community. People would comment, and then she would click the link and go read their blog. And so then she started reading people all around the world. They started reading her. She made friends from France who she ended up meeting. She made friends with Ronnie Bennett, who who's a elder blogger advocate. And so she's got her blog. And then one day I was over her house, and she would have a list of things for me to do. And she says, I can't open this. I can't open this. I said, you know what? Let me make a video with this, because in my world, I'm thinking of content creation all the time. If you think of consuming content or creating, I think create. So I says, why don't we do a video of you not being able to open this? So I put the camera at her, and I says, well, tell me what's happening. She says, you see this thing? I really like the product, but I can't open it. And I'm like, show me. So she shows me, and she can't open it. So I put the camera like on a tripod, and my hands come in from behind the camera. I says, oh, let me try. Oh, I said, you have to push down and twist. And then I give it back to her, and she pushes down and twists. And she says, I opened it. And a video. So it's like a 2-3 minute video. So every time I would visit her, she'd have a new thing that she couldn't open. So we made a whole video series. I can't open it. People on the internet, a guy sees his wife can't open something in the kitchen. He says, I know a lady on the internet who can't open stuff too.
Right.
And then she gets in the book, the best YouTubers, YouTube and the most famous YouTubers, and she's in it and I'm not.
And you're not is the best part of that story. It is like in that way, in that sort of universe way.
Yeah.
But so I have to tell you, I am like the worst entrepreneur in the world. I almost never really see an opportunity. I can help people understand trends and things like that, but I never go, oh, this is the thing. I could be rich. I saw your mom do those videos and I was like, oh my gosh, I would totally, Procter & Gamble should give this woman $300K a year.
No kidding. You know what? So a brands did find her, and she had a problem with saran wrap and she couldn't get it off the roll. So this company who made this electric thing you put the saran wrap in the thing and you push a button and the saran wrap comes out, and then you push a button and cut it. They sent her that. Another company sent her a thing. It was a mat, like when she got out of bed, lights would turn on. Stouffer's cookies. She had a problem on JetBlue. She couldn't open the cookies. And so Stouffer's sent her like a humongous carton full of cookies. Really funny. See? And now she's Zooming.
One of those regular influencers. I know. I got to be on one of the Zooms. It was great.
Yeah. If you guys go to her blog, I shared she was just on New England Cable News about how elders are using technology to feel less alone during the quarantine. And it's featuring her.
Featuring her. Well, listen, I've cut into your walk time so much, and thank you so much. And Carol, people can't begin to imagine what it's like for you to stay in frame as well as you have this entire thing. It's so amazing.
It's many years of experience.
I am telling you, I've seen it in person and I still can't believe it, but you're both wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your time today.
Well, this was really fun to catch up.
Yes, thank you for catching up. I didn't even mention the name of the show.
I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy talking with you, Chris, and I love this show and the way it's going and the guests you've had. It's really a fun distraction, and it's really entertaining, and it's really fun for me to catch up with the people you interview.
Well, thank you. And thanks for being part of it now. So now we've caught up. Really good to connect, Steve and Carol. Thank you so much. And I'll catch up with you later.
Everybody stay safe and wear a mask.
All right.
Wear a mask.
Yep. Here we go.